back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and I have a special sort of one-off video that is a little out of the ordinary today. I am talking about judged gift cards, and the reason why I am is because just like a lot of the cards I talk about on my videos, they are fringe and not well known. In fact, there's a whole lot of cards on this list that I just discovered existed. So judged gift cards are special promos that they give out to like judges. They are very expensive, okay? So this is certainly not anything that remotely close to a budget list. But again, I like to mention fringe cards that people don't know exist. Even though these cards do exist already in other forms, these are promo versions. And I'm a huge art guy. That's another thing for me is I'm just really big into having super sweet looking cards. That's just another aspect of the game that I love a lot, which is another reason why I'm talking about this. You know, I don't expect people to run out and buy a bunch of these. They're probably hard to get your hands on. It's just interesting to talk about. And these are really cool cards that I'm sure a lot of people out there don't know exist. So these are my 10 favorite, you know, just personal, totally subjective for me. And, you know, they've been doing this judge gift thing for a long time, but recently in the last few years, they have, of course, been engineering it more towards Commander, and there's been a lot of really great Commander cards that they've been doing as judge gifts. So starting out at number 10 is Greater Auramancy, and this is one that I mentioned, a few months back about Commander cards that just desperately need a reprint because they had never reprinted this card, and of course it's a Commander staple. The original one is at $64. That's kind of a lot. Now, of course, the judge gift cards one is even more, but it is a reprint, so that's good. I just thought it was kind of funny that I mentioned this in that video, and then like a month later they came out with essentially a reprint, even though it is a promo. But again, it's just a great Commander card, super sweet art. I just think this card looks fantastic, and that's really mostly what I'm talking about here. Is these are cards that do get used in Commander a lot and just look super sweet. This is just purely a subjective video with cards that I think look really cool. At number 9, we got Birthing Pod, and again, a card that has never been reprinted, shockingly, but they did do a judged gift promo, and again, just super sweet art. I also like the set symbol. I think that's pretty cool as well. It actually used to be different. They changed it a couple of times. You know, if you got a Birthing Pod in your deck and you want a sweet looking version, it's going to cost you a little bit more, but it's great for just sort of making your deck a little more unique. Coming in at number 8, we got Demonic Tutor. And of course, this is a very popular card in the format. Has been reprinted a ton, but not like this, right? Very unique, interesting art. You know, you got the girl there with a doll on her lap. And I think the idea is the doll is demonic. It's possessed. I don't know, it's like a Chucky doll or something. Maybe it's telling her to do bad things. I'm not sure. It's just very interesting, right? And it's very different from the Demonic Tutors that have already existed that have been reprinted many times. So it's a different option for you if you want to go after it. Coming in at 7 is Omniscience. And this is not a personal favorite card of mine at all. I do not like this card, but this promo just looks super sweet, I think. And it's foil. So I think in person, in real life, it's going to look extra good. If you look at the, you know, sort of looks like Aurora Borealis sort of situation there, I think that's going to look extra super sweet in person. It is an expensive option, but this is a great one to go after because it just looks awesome, I think. Getting to number 6, and the rest on this list are all Commanders. And again, that's why I wanted to make this video because, you know, your Commander is obviously the most important part of your deck. And that's probably the part that most people would want to have a bling version of if they could. Grand Arbiter Gustine IV. And of course, not a lot of people like this Commander, but there are a lot of people out there that have this deck. And man, this alternate art is super sweet. Again, even though I don't like this card personally, I gotta give it a mention because it just looks super cool. Way better than the original in my opinion. So if you got that deck, you might want to run out there and try to get your hands on this one. It isn't super expensive. It's not too shabby. Coming in at number 5, Karlov of the Ghost Council. Man, I really like this one. Again, I think this is, I mean, the original was not bad. It looks pretty good, but this one is just so much better. It looks super sweet. I love the art on here. And again, there's quite a few people out there with Karlov the Ghost Council decks. I mean, if I had one, I would immediately run out and try to get my hands on this. Next up at number 4, we got Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth, and again, a very popular commander. A lot of people have this deck, and this one is, I think probably the best improvement over the original. I don't love the original one, and that might be a contrarian view. I don't know. I don't think it looks particularly great. I really like the Judge promo version. It looks fantastic. I just think it's a lot more suiting, right? If I'm thinking of the Son of Yawgmoth, it looks like this guy, right? He's a horror minion. I just think this art is perfectly suited. And again, there's probably a lot of people out there that have a Crick deck that had no idea that there was an option for them to go run out and buy this to pilot their deck, right? It is expensive, but if you really love your Crick deck or your Karlov deck or whatever, might want to save a few dollars to actually run out there and buy this because you really care about the deck you have and you plan on having it for a long, long time, right? Speaking of expensive, we got Edgar Markov coming in at number 3. And I'm sure everyone's very familiar with this commander, but probably, again, don't necessarily know that there is a Judge gift promo option for you to go get. And again, the art is fantastic. The original art is good. I like it. I sort of like the Edgar Markov standing there while all his servants, put his armor on and stuff. Pretty cool. I just think this version is so much nicer. It looks super sweet. And again, it's not just about whether or not the art is better. It's also about having a different one, right? So even if you show up at a table and another guy has an Edgar Markov deck, which is entirely possible, you have the alternate art. So at least it's a little bit different. This one is really expensive. I mean, the original Edgar Markov is really expensive. So there's no getting around that, right? I mean, it's a really popular commander, but if you really like your Edgar Markov deck and you want to bling it out, this is a great way to go about it. Coming in at number 2, again, another popular commander, Zakama Primal Calamity. And again, just really sweet art. The original is pretty good, but this is just so much better. I absolutely love this one. That's the rating here, by the way. As I go up the list is basically the art that I like the most. That's really what I'm talking about here is the card that you're going to play anyway, but there's super sweet art on it that I think is way better than the original. That's the only reason to go and buy these cards, right? For me and for a lot of other people, there is a lot more aspects to the game than just here's what a card mechanically does. I'm a huge art guy, right? My Tishana, for example, I have a Tishana deck. I hate the art on that card. Do not like it at all. I actually have a proxy version that I use for my deck. I really wish they would do like just like this, a Judge gift promo for that card or a different version whatsoever so I can go and buy it because I really do not like the original. I'm just a huge art guy. A lot of people out there I know are as well. I got a lot of patrons that I talk about this kind of stuff with that just really like having options like this, right? You don't have to run out and buy it. It's a very expensive card, but it's nice to have these options for the people that want to do that. And this Zakama, I think, looks super sweet. But coming in at number 1 is Mizzix of the Ismagus. And again, maybe there's a lot of people out there that have a Mizzix deck, have no idea this card exists. They don't really advertise these promos a whole lot. This is the one that I think looks the best compared to the original. Again, the original is okay. It's a little dull. This one is just so vibrant. The art is so fantastic. It is very similar to the original, but they just cranked it up. Like, it just looks so sweet. So if there is anyone out there with a Mizzix deck and you didn't know this card existed and you're like, wow, I'm going to run out and buy that right away. Again, this one isn't super expensive. It's not too bad. Might want to get your hands on it to pilot your Mizzix of the Ismagus deck if you have one. But that is it. Again, I'm just bringing these cards to people's attention, right? And I had even contemplated making one of these decks because these commanders look so sweet that I wanted to have that deck for myself. That's just the kind of guy I am. I really like having those awesome looking cards with great art. So again, like I do on my channel a lot, I like to bring this stuff to people's attention if they don't know that it exists. So if you have one of these decks or one of these cards in your decks, here's an option for you to run out and get it if it fits with what you're doing. And if you are going to run out and buy one of those cards, I do have a TCG Player link. It is in the description below. If they have those cards available, give it a click. It does help support the channel. But that is it for today, and thanks for tuning in.